What if I told you that your brain is literally designed to be unsatisfied? What if the very thing that makes you human, your ability to desire more, is also the thing that guarantees you'll never feel like you have enough? King Solomon discovered something about human nature that explains why lottery winners go broke, why celebrities struggle with depression, and why social media makes you feel worse about your life. Today, we're diving into the psychology of insatiable appetite and how to find contentment in a world designed to keep you wanting more.
Welcome back to What Really Matters, our journey through King Solomon's wisdom in Ecclesiastes. I'm Emmanuel, and we're 6 episodes deep into discovering what actually creates fulfillment in life. We've learned that success is a trap, pleasure is temporary, life has seasons, relationships are essential, and money is a terrible master but wonderful servant. Today, we're tackling one of the most fundamental aspects of human psychology: why we're never satisfied. Ecclesiastes chapter 6 reveals something profound about human nature that modern consumer culture exploits ruthlessly. Solomon discovered that satisfaction isn't about getting what you want, it's about understanding why you want it in the first place. This chapter explains why you can achieve everything on your wish list and still feel empty, why social media makes you miserable despite connecting you to everyone, and why our culture of abundance has produced the most anxious generation in history. If you've ever wondered why getting what you want doesn't make you happy, or why you always seem to want just a little bit more, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, because this episode is going to explain the psychology behind your perpetual dissatisfaction.
The vanity of having everything. Solomon begins chapter 6 with a paradox that seems impossible. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it is common among men. A man to whom God has given riches and wealth and honor, so that he lacks nothing for his soul of all he desires. Yet God does not give him power to eat of it, but a stranger eats it. This is vanity, and it is an evil affliction. Think about what Solomon is describing here. He's talking about someone who has literally everything they could want: riches, wealth, honor, lacking nothing their soul desires. Yet they can't enjoy it. Someone else ends up benefiting from their accumulation. This isn't just about inheritance or theft. Solomon is describing a psychological condition that's incredibly common: the inability to enjoy what you have because you're always focused on what you don't have. The modern achievement paradox. This perfectly describes many successful people today. They achieve everything they thought they wanted, but instead of satisfaction, they experience what researchers call arrival fallacy, the belief that reaching a destination will provide lasting happiness. Take someone like Robin Williams, who we've mentioned before. He had wealth, fame, the adoration of millions, creative fulfillment, and the ability to bring joy to others. By external measures, he lacked nothing, yet he struggled with deep depression and ultimately took his own life. The stranger who ate his achievements was his own internal emptiness. All his external success couldn't touch his internal pain. The inheritance that never satisfies. Solomon continues with an even more striking image. If a man begets 100 children and lives many years, so that the days of his years are many, but his soul is not satisfied with goodness, and also he has no burial, I say that a stillborn child is better than he. This sounds harsh, but Solomon is making a profound point about satisfaction versus achievement. You could have the ultimate biological success, many children, the ultimate temporal success, long life, and still be fundamentally unsatisfied. The key phrase is, his soul is not satisfied with goodness. It's possible to have access to all the good things life offers, yet remain internally empty. the modern celebrity depression epidemic. This explains the celebrity depression epidemic we see today. These are people who have achieved everything our culture says should make you happy. Anthony Bourdain had the dream job of traveling the world and eating amazing food, yet struggled with depression and addiction. Kate Spade built a fashion empire and achieved entrepreneurial success, yet battled mental health issues. Chester Bennington of Linkin Park had musical success and millions of fans, yet couldn't escape his internal demons. Mac Miller had wealth, fame, and creative success, yet died from drug overdose at 26. The pattern is consistent. External achievement doesn't correlate with internal satisfaction.
The social media appetite. Social media has weaponized Solomon's insight about insatiable appetite. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook are designed to keep you perpetually unsatisfied by showing you curated versions of other people's lives. Every time you scroll, you see someone with a better vacation, a more attractive partner, a more successful career, a more beautiful home. Your brain, which is designed to notice what you don't have, interprets this as evidence that your life is inadequate. Research shows that people who spend more time on social media report higher levels of depression and anxiety, lower self-esteem and life satisfaction, increased materialism and financial dissatisfaction, more relationship problems and social comparison. Social media companies profit from your dissatisfaction. The more inadequate you feel, the more you scroll, and the more ad revenue they generate. The dopamine addiction. Modern neuroscience has revealed why Solomon's insight about insatiable appetite are biologically accurate. Your brain releases dopamine not when you get what you want, but when you anticipate getting what you want. This means the wanting is more powerful than the having. The anticipation of the vacation is often more enjoyable than the vacation itself. The anticipation of the purchase is more exciting than owning the item. This is why people become addicted to shopping, dating apps, social media likes, and other forms of intermittent variable reward. The anticipation keeps you hooked, but the fulfillment is always temporary. The Amazon shopping addiction. Consider how Amazon has exploited this psychology. The anticipation of receiving a package often provides more satisfaction than the actual item. The ease of one-click purchasing means you can get a dopamine hit from buying something without even thinking about whether you need it. Many people report buying things on Amazon that they forget about until the package arrives. The temporary satisfaction of purchasing was the real product. The item itself was secondary. This is why Amazon's business model is so successful. They're not just selling products, they're selling the anticipation and convenience of getting what you want instantly. The streaming entertainment industry provides another example. Netflix, with thousands of movies and shows available instantly, should provide unlimited satisfaction. Instead, many people report spending more time browsing Netflix than actually watching anything. Why? Because the anticipation of finding the perfect show to watch is more engaging than actually watching it. The abundance of choice creates what psychologists call choice paralysis. Too many options make it harder to feel satisfied with any single choice. People often describe feeling overwhelmed by Netflix's selection and ending up watching nothing or re-watching familiar shows rather than exploring new content.
The relationship appetite. Dating apps have applied the same psychology to relationships. Apps like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge create the illusion of infinite romantic possibilities. There's always someone potentially better just one swipe away. This makes it harder to feel satisfied with any single relationship because your brain is constantly aware of other options. Research shows that people who use dating apps report lower relationship satisfaction and higher rates of infidelity. The apps profit from keeping you single and searching because committed, satisfied people don't need dating apps. The career ladder illusion. Corporate culture exploits insatiable appetite through the career ladder illusion. There's always another promotion, another title, another salary increase to pursue. Just when you achieve one goal, a new one appears. Many successful professionals report feeling trapped on what they call the corporate treadmill, constantly achieving but never arriving at satisfaction. Each promotion brings new responsibilities and pressures, often without significantly improving quality of life. The promise is always that the next level will bring the satisfaction that the current level hasn't provided. The lifestyle inflation trap. Solomon's insight explains why lifestyle inflation is so psychologically powerful. As your income increases, your expenses naturally increase to match it. The lifestyle that once seemed luxurious becomes your new baseline. What used to be special treats, eating out, buying new clothes, taking vacations, become routine expectations. Your appetite for lifestyle improvements grows faster than your ability to satisfy it. This is why people making $200,000 per year often feel just as financially stressed as people making $50,000 per year. Their appetites have expanded to consume their increased income. The comparison engine. Solomon understood that appetite is largely driven by comparison. We don't want things in absolute terms, we want them relative to what others have. Research in behavioral economics confirms this. People report being happier making $50,000 when their neighbors make $25,000 than making $100,000 when their neighbors make $200,000. Social media has made this comparison global and constant. Instead of comparing yourself to your immediate neighbors and coworkers, you're now comparing yourself to influencers, celebrities, and the curated success stories of millions of people.
The hedonic treadmill returns. This connects to the hedonic treadmill we discussed in earlier episodes. Your brain adapts to positive changes in your circumstances, returning you to your baseline level of happiness. But here's what makes it worse. While you adapt to improvements, you don't adapt as well to losses. Psychologists call this loss aversion. The pain of losing something is psychologically more powerful than the pleasure of gaining it. This means you're constantly vulnerable to dissatisfaction because you adapt to good things but remain sensitive to threats, losses, and what you don't have. The minimalism movement response. The modern minimalism movement can be understood as a response to Solomon's insights about insatiable appetite. Minimalists like Joshua Fields Milburn, Ryan Nicodemus, and Marie Kondo advocate for intentionally limiting possessions to break the cycle of endless wanting. By consciously choosing to want less, they found more satisfaction with what they have. This aligns perfectly with Solomon's insight that the problem isn't what you have, it's the appetite itself. However, minimalism can become its own form of appetite, the desire to have less, to optimize, to achieve the perfect minimal lifestyle. The underlying psychology of wanting more can simply shift to wanting more minimalism. The gratitude antidote. Research in positive psychology has identified gratitude as one of the most effective antidotes to insatiable appetite. People who regularly practice gratitude report higher levels of life satisfaction, better sleep and physical health, improved relationships, less materialism and comparison, greater resilience during difficult times. Gratitude works because it redirects your attention from what you don't have to what you do have. It interrupts the natural tendency to focus on lack and deficit.
The enough point. Solomon's insight suggests that satisfaction comes not from getting more, but from deciding what constitutes enough. This requires conscious decision-making about your appetites, rather than letting them run on autopilot. Warren Buffett exemplifies this principle. Despite being one of the richest people in history, he's maintained essentially the same lifestyle for decades. He still lives in the house he bought in 1958, drives modest cars, and enjoys simple pleasures like hamburgers and Coca-Cola. Buffett consciously decided what was enough for his personal lifestyle and hasn't inflated his appetites despite his increased wealth. The experience versus possessions research. Psychological research has shown that money spent on experiences provides more lasting satisfaction than money spent on possessions. Why? Because experiences are harder to compare with others' experiences, become part of your identity rather than external additions, create memories that often improve over time, often involve relationships and social connection, can't be stolen, lost, or become obsolete. This aligns with Solomon's insight that the problem isn't having things, it's the appetite for having things. The contentment paradox. Here's the paradox Solomon discovered. Contentment isn't about getting what you want, it's about wanting what you have. This seems backwards to our achievement-oriented culture, but it's psychologically accurate. People who practice contentment aren't passive or unmotivated. They're simply not driven by the anxiety of lack or the compulsion to constantly acquire more. This allows them to make decisions based on their values rather than their appetites, leading to better long-term outcomes and greater life satisfaction. The advertising industry's secret. The advertising industry understands Solomon's insights about insatiable appetite and uses them strategically. Advertisements don't sell products, they sell dissatisfaction with your current situation. Every ad contains an implicit message. Your life would be better if you had this product. The goal is to create appetite, not to satisfy existing needs. The most effective advertisements create problems you didn't know you had, then offer solutions you didn't know you needed.
The FOMO psychology. Fear of missing out, FOMO, is a modern manifestation of insatiable appetite. Social media constantly shows you activities, experiences, and opportunities you're not participating in. Your brain, which is designed to notice potential threats and opportunities, interprets this as evidence that you're making poor choices or missing out on better options. Research shows that people with high FOMO report lower life satisfaction and higher anxiety, even when their objective circumstances are positive. The paradox of choice. Psychologist Barry Schwartz has shown that too many choices can actually decrease satisfaction. When you have unlimited options, you're more likely to experience decision paralysis, second-guess your choices, imagine that other options might have been better, feel responsible for poor outcomes. This explains why people in wealthy societies with access to unprecedented choices often report lower life satisfaction than people in simpler societies with fewer options. The artificial scarcity solution. Some successful people have learned to create artificial scarcity to increase their satisfaction. For example, only checking email at specific times rather than constantly. Limiting entertainment options by canceling streaming services. Shopping with lists and avoiding browsing. Taking social media breaks to reduce comparison opportunities. By voluntarily limiting their options, they increase their satisfaction with the choices they do make.
Taming the appetite monster. So how do you apply Solomon's wisdom to find satisfaction in a culture designed to keep you wanting more? Let me give you a practical framework. Step 1. The appetite audit. First, identify what appetites are currently driving your behavior. What do you find yourself constantly wanting more of? What purchases or experiences do you think will make you happy? What aspects of others' lives make you feel inadequate? What apps or websites increase your desire for things you don't have? Write these down without judgment. Awareness is the first step to change. Step 2. The satisfaction timeline.
For each major purchase or achievement from the past year, track your satisfaction over time. How excited were you before getting it? How satisfied were you immediately after getting it? How do you feel about it now? How long did the satisfaction last? This exercise reveals the temporary nature of acquisition-based satisfaction and helps you make better decisions about future purchases. Step 3. Implement gratitude practices. Develop daily practices that redirect your attention from lack to abundance. Morning gratitude. Start each day by noting 3 things you're grateful for. Evening reflection. End each day by appreciating something good that happened. Gratitude visits. Regularly express appreciation to people who've impacted your life. Gratitude journaling. Write detailed descriptions of things you appreciate. These practices literally rewire your brain to notice satisfaction rather than deficit. Step 4. Define your enough points. For each major area of life, consciously define what constitutes enough. Housing. What size and type of home would actually make you comfortable? Transportation. What kind of car serves your practical needs? Clothing. How many clothes do you actually need to feel well dressed? Entertainment. How much entertainment is truly enjoyable versus compulsive? Technology. What devices and services actually improve your life? Write these definitions down and refer to them when making decisions. Step 5. Practice strategic subtraction. Instead of always adding to your life, practice strategic subtraction. Unsubscribe from marketing emails that create artificial urgency. Unfollow social media accounts that trigger comparison and inadequacy. Cancel subscriptions to services you don't actively use. Declutter possessions that don't serve a clear purpose. Limit news consumption to avoid artificial anxiety about global events. This reduces the external inputs that feed insatiable appetite.
The anticipation awareness practice. Since anticipation is often more powerful than acquisition, practice being aware of the anticipation satisfaction cycle. Before making any significant purchase or commitment, ask yourself, am I more excited about anticipating this or actually having it? What do I think this will give me that I don't currently have? How long do I think the satisfaction will last? What did I learn from similar purchases in the past? This awareness helps you make decisions based on realistic expectations rather than temporary excitement. The comparison detox. Since comparison drives much of our insatiable appetite, practice regular comparison detoxes. Take periodic breaks from social media. Focus on your own progress rather than others' achievements. Celebrate small wins without reference to what others are doing. Spend time with people who aren't constantly competing or comparing. Practice appreciating others' success without feeling inadequate. The experience investment strategy. Based on research showing that experiences provide more lasting satisfaction than possessions, strategically invest in shared experiences with people you care about, learning experiences that develop your skills and understanding, adventure experiences that create memorable stories, service experiences where you help others, and creative experiences where you make something meaningful. These investments are more likely to provide lasting satisfaction than material acquisitions.
The Contentment Challenge. Here's a 30-day challenge to practice contentment. Week 1, practice gratitude for what you currently have. Week 2, avoid unnecessary purchases and notice the urges that arise. Week 3, limit social media use and observe how it affects your satisfaction. Week 4, focus on giving to others rather than acquiring for yourself. Track your mood and satisfaction levels throughout this process.
The appetite truth. Solomon's message about insatiable appetite is both challenging and liberating. Challenging because it reveals that the consumer culture we live in is designed to keep us perpetually dissatisfied. Liberating because it shows that satisfaction is possible. It just doesn't come from getting more. The richest, wisest man in history discovered that human appetite is inherently insatiable, but contentment is achievable when you understand the difference between wanting and needing, between acquisition and satisfaction. The freedom discovery. When you stop trying to satisfy an appetite that's designed to be insatiable, you discover a different kind of freedom. You can enjoy what you have without being driven by what you don't have. You can make decisions based on your values rather than your cravings. This doesn't mean becoming passive or losing ambition. It means channeling your energy toward things that actually provide lasting satisfaction rather than temporary pleasure.
This brings us perfectly to our next episode, Wisdom over Wealth, where we dive into Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and Solomon's discoveries about what actually appreciates in value over time. We'll explore why investing in wisdom provides compound returns that money can't match, how to build a wisdom portfolio that pays dividends for life, and what Solomon learned about the difference between being smart and being wise. We'll also look at why wise people often seem to have better luck, how wisdom protects you from costly mistakes, and practical strategies for accumulating wisdom in a world obsessed with accumulating wealth. Your appetite assignment. Before our next episode, I want you to practice the appetite audit I described. For 1 week, pay attention to your wanting patterns. What triggers your desire for more? How long does satisfaction last when you get what you want? What would it feel like to be content with what you currently have? Don't try to change anything yet, just observe the patterns. The satisfaction secret. Remember, Solomon's insight isn't that wanting things is bad or that ambition is wrong. His insight is that satisfaction doesn't come from getting what you want, it comes from appreciating what you have while working toward what matters. If this episode helped you understand why you're never satisfied, smash that like button and share it with someone who's trapped on the hamster wheel of wanting more. Let me know in the comments, what's one appetite you're going to practice being more intentional about? I'm Emmanuel, and I'll see you in our next episode where Solomon teaches us why wisdom is the only investment that always appreciates in value. Remember, the appetite that's never full can never be satisfied by feeding it more, only by understanding why it's hungry.